Thank you very much, Monica. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you would have noted from everyone's presentation that there is a theme running through it in the expectation of increased efficiency in how they do their business, faster decisions, better decisions, and the capability to make assessments on current information. That is what we intend to provide. And so with this group of forerunners and with this additional support that we expect, we anticipate that we will be able to have a robust database that will be able to provide current and up-to-date information. We are seeking to be able to have a platform that interfaces with the between the technology on a nightly basis at best, but certainly no less than a monthly update from each of those credit information providers. But our system is capable of receiving information every single day so that we're able to provide up-to-date information. And one of the things that would be noted in particularly Mrs. Brown's presentation is the responsibilities that will now be engendered on the consumers in terms of how they treat with their credit and financial responsibilities. And we undertake as part of our responsibility to participate with strategic partners in the provision of consumer education about how they become involved in this credit information, credit reporting process, because it is basically a symbiotic relationship. What their performance and their behavior affects the decisions that are going to be made about them. So it's a holistic environment that we're now involved in, and we are going to be making sure that we ensure that consumers understand their role in it. I'm now going to ask each of the members of the Forerunners Club if they would be so kind as to add their signature ceremonially to the Forerunners roll that is in front of them, and then I will ask them to join me at the what do you call that? The easel over there. Thank you. With
Sorry,
have someone out there.
sorry, just look this way first.
So you added the roll down.
You want me to put some?
Absolutely, inside there. Ceremonial. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I will ask you now if you would all be kind enough to join me as Damien and Craig with, I think, the four on this side.
Ceremonial.
Monique. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Come around, Brad.
Brad, from the side. I need you to help me over there with this. And we will ceremonially unveil the Creditinfo Forerunners. This will be framed in the lobby of the new building when we move over next week. Okay. Thank you very much. And now I would ask the media if there are any questions. We would be happy to answer. Questions from any representative of the media house? Or? Yes. As I indicated before, once you have two signatories, you have composite information. But obviously, the more signatories that you have, the more information you have, the greater the likelihood that an individual would have been a client of one of those institutions. So we are currently, I'm certainly aware that we are close to signature with another 6 companies actually. And then under the direction of our business development director, Robert Comican, and our sales and marketing manager, Kamara Williams, along with the rest of the team, we are going to be out there engaging with the prospective data providers to invite their sign-on and to be sure that they're in the information database. Because one of the things people have to understand is that if you do not provide information, you will not be able to pull information. And so in terms of having up-to-date current information on prospective credit applicants, it is important that all potential credit providers sign on to the Credit Bureau.
I want to ask, as the international interface, I mean, most of us here do business elsewhere overseas. Is there that balance in terms of getting info from our banks overseas to find out if they're good creditors?
The Credit Reporting Act speaks to the Jamaican environment, and we will in the short term be pulling information only from the local environment. Because we are an international company with capabilities that expand outside of the geographic range of Jamaica, our principals will be putting in place in due course the potential to be able to access public information from the international sphere, from the local interface, the computer base in the companies. So, but in the short term, it will be localized Jamaican information. Yes, sir.
Forerunners from the Observer. You've been talking about reducing default loans. Do you have any idea what the average default rate is now, and what should the target levels reduce that to?
Well, currently banks, from the last information that I saw, were running at about 8.9%, Monique. And actually it is less so, I think, in the microfinance sector. But I would anticipate that each company would take their own strategic decision as to what level of risk tolerance they have and what would be acceptable for them. So it would not be for the Credit Bureau to prescribe a default level. It would be for each institution to look at their portfolio and determine what level of risk they're prepared to tolerate. But right now they're running under 9%. Data providers, prospective. Well, if there are no other questions, all I can say, oh yeah.
Because we have quite a range of institutions, the bank being the, shall I say, landmark institution in terms of lending. So that's where we're going to start off. And the process of a credit bureau coming into, shall I say, maturity is not a turn on the switch one and then everything flows. So we are engaged accurately and reliably. Once the credit bureau is able to have that body of data built and to have its analytics reliably create scoring around it, that is really the end game, which now really leverages a lot of the risk management gains, the cost gains that are being sought here. And so our first objective is to get our institutions, the bank, we also have a microfinance lender in our group, get all of those core lending institutions on board with the licensed credit bureaus, and then to work with the licensed credit bureaus to refine their more sophisticated products, especially the scoring. We anticipate that certainly by worst case Q1 we should be up and running. We're hoping for this year, but again, because we're such a huge institution, just conservatively, Q1 we should have our core lending institutions on board with the credit bureaus, and we are anticipating that it may, however, take 3 years really for the scoring to be strong and robust and reliable. It is trustworthy, and they have been a part of the process and they understand their responsibilities in it, than to rush into something and have to be doing a lot of apologizing and explaining. That consumer trust element is something we feel very strongly about. So that's roughly the process, you know, get in as quick as possible within the next 6 months, and over the next 2, worst case 3 years, get to a score that everyone is very comfortable, is embedded in the way we lend, and therefore can power our economy to the next level.
Countries that I have mentioned they're involved with. But we also have within our group Creditinfo Decisions Limited, which is a specialized scoring entity. They develop robust data for them to be able to develop a localized score with the localized nuances and so on that are. We're not actually open for business yet. We now are going through the testing phase. We're going to be working with our signatories to clean their data, to be sure that we can extract data that is reliable and accurate do their walkthrough, make sure the encryptions are okay. Persons who have been provided with a position of trust, because the information has to be comfortable, as we already are, but they also, as the representatives of the people and of the institutions, they will now come in once we have tested our data, once we have done our build-out, looked at the whole structure.
Get a loan based on a credit score through your company?
We can only provide information. We anticipate that we will be providing information in a perfect world, all other things being equal, in October of this year. The decisions that the institutions will make thereafter will be their own. What the credit report allows that institution to do is to ask the right questions, because they will have the information in front of them. How soon they use the score alone in their credit provision would again be their information. But as I say, we will be providing an expert score in the short term, and they will then be able to use that to match against their other risk management evaluation criteria and see how they converge and whether or not they will start relying on the score in short order. Does that answer your question?